I like ReZero, as I'm sure most of you know. ReZero is a great series which continues to break the ceiling on what's possible in the isekai genre. One of the best things about ReZero is the amount of depth and information placed in the series, only to become relevant years into the future. Despite this though, there are a few problems with the series, and I'm sure from the thumbnail most of you can guess what they are. This video will of course contain spoilers. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the lack of information about the Gospels and the Tome of Wisdom. Like for example, we don't know exactly how much information they give to the user. For example, Roswell's Tome of Wisdom didn't tell Roswell the results of Emilia's trial, such as whether or not she would pass or fail the trial. Yet despite this, the Tome of Wisdom told Roswell that Subaru appeared in the kingdom of Lagunica, and he also had a looping ability. Furthermore, whenever it comes to the Sin archbishops, whenever they show up, we don't really know the reason for it. Half of the time it's just swept under the rug as the gospel told them to do it. Due to this, we can pretty much throw the Sin archbishops wherever they're needed and just keep saying that the gospel told them to appear, similar to the city of Stella, where pretty much every Sin archbishop showed up. Like, let me give you one example to me which makes absolutely no sense. In Arc 5, Libat and Katos was at Stella. Subaru and the gang went from Stella to Roswell's Manor, which took around 10 days. It then took them around 2 weeks to get to the Pleiades watchtower. They nullified sand time and then they entered the watchtower. And then Subaru gets his memories eaten by Louis Arneb, and like a day after that, Libat and Katos shows up. So the question is, how did Libat and Katos get there so fast? The Pleiades watchtower is in some unknown location, and Lai just so happened to show up at the same time as the main cast. Remember, he couldn't have shown up earlier than the group due to the fact that sand time existed, so they couldn't of course get to the Pleiades watchtower before Subaru dispelled it. Which means he showed up after Subaru and the gang broke through. So of course when it comes to explaining how Libat and Katos knew exactly where to go, it makes no real sense. Even if you say that Louis Arneb informed Libat and Katos of Subaru's location, there was still less than a 1-day gap to arrive. There's literally no way for Lai to travel to the Pleiades watchtower that fast unless he was close by or he's actually Sonic the Hedgehog in disguise. By which again is unlikely, by the way. So again, of course, the obvious answer to this is that the gospel told him to show up beforehand, so he knew exactly where to go, which in my opinion is just poor writing, because the gospels can just be used to move the Sin archbishops to where they're needed to, of course, influence the story. The second problem, ironically, is very similar to the first one, but involves Pandora. Due to the lack of information around her, people tend to just use her as a deus ex machina for pretty much everything in ReZero. Why does the world think that Satella is a bad person when she's actually pretty kind? Well, Pandora changed reality to make people hate Satella. How will Reinhard die? Pandora will steal his divine protections and then kill him. Why is ReZero the best isekai and is a masterpiece? Well, that's obviously because Pandora did it. That's pretty much what I mean. When it comes to Pandora, you can pretty much say anything to explain the wider events of ReZero since she's so ambiguous. The final issue I have is with Flugel. Like how Pandora can be used for the evil side of things, Flugel is like the hero equivalent of Pandora, and he can again be used as a deus ex machina to just explain anything. Why does Satella know Subaru? Well, that's because of Flugel, of course. Who's the entity behind Odd Lagna? Flugel! Even though Arc 6 is my favourite arc of ReZero, the ending of course left something to be desired. Shula's named chapter, where we could have potentially had a chance to see into Shula's life with Flugel, didn't give us any information on Flugel. It was a missed opportunity, and now we are halfway or potentially 33% into Arc 7 and we don't have any information on Pandora, Flugel, the Gospels, the Sin Archbishops. There are way too many mysteries of rezero, and none of them have been answered. And I'll rather we get drips of information here and now, rather than waiting until Arc 11, where everything is answered. Anyways, this is my opinion. Let me know if you agree or disagree.